Cat in the Rain, Characterization. In Cat in the Rain, Hemingway portrays an emotionally unavailable husband as a pretext for the American wife to question her desire and her identity. Ironically, the author locates his story in Italy, a Mediterranean space known for its warmth and physical closeness. Hemingway is a feminist writer in the sense that he criticizes the traditional complacency of man. He also is a humanist in that his works are an attempt to understand what it means to be human and humane in post-war societies. From the point of view of the wife, the reader can penetrate the intimacy of a couple in crisis. The husband took over the bed and the two cushions, which says a lot about his self-centeredness. He also casts his wife's appearance in terms of his own wishes, thus ignoring her own fantasies. George lives his life mechanically. He has probably resigned himself to the fact that his marriage is over, destroyed from the inside out. The wear and tear of time has wrecked his romance. Strangely enough, the husband spends his time reading while he's on vacation. He cares little for his wife, who has a desperate craving for attention and affection. George lives his life without ever questioning it, whereas the American woman aspires to personal fulfillment and meaning in her life. The wife seems pathetic in her quest for love and recognition. Her concern about hair, along with the presence of the mirror as a specular motive, is highly symbolic in this respect. Unable to find in her husband's gaze a gratifying image with which to identify, she projects her malaise onto the grayish walls, making the outside world a greener outlet. The woman refers to the cat she sees in the garden in feminine terms, which comforts us in the idea that her identification with this feline creature is total. She's not the cat, yet she identifies with the animal's predicament. Both are depicted as cuddly, lonely, and vulnerable. The cat is the perfect answer to the American wife's existential emptiness. Anyway, I want a cat, she said. I want a cat. I want a cat now. If I can't have long hair or any fun, I can have a cat. The woman feels imprisoned in her sterile life. The presence of water in the outside world, be it rain or sea, symbolizes the much desired vitality. Paradoxically, there is also a war memorial commemorating the dead of the Great War. Life, Eris, and death, Thanatos, coexist in the story. Hemingway plays wittily on contrast. While the husband is busy reading a book in a hotel room, the innkeeper bows down to the American woman to make her feel special. The man's gorgeousness suits the lady's taste. As the wife reaches out down, she finds no cat and returns disheartened. Hemingway alludes here to optical illusions that fool our eyes. The reader wonders if the lady's vision is distorted, and if her life is a mere mirage. The American wife's hedonistic pleasure can never be fully accomplished. Her desires will remain unfulfilled. She confesses in front of the mirror, I want to pull my hair back tight and smooth and make a big knot at the back that I can't feel. I want to have a kitty to sit on my lap and purr when I stroke her. And I want to eat at a table with my own silver, and I want candles. And I want it to be spring, and I want to brush my hair out in front of a mirror. And I want a kitty, and I want some new clothes. Hemingway suggests that the lady's frustration stems from her chronic dissatisfaction that finds its justification in the volatile essence of desire, which goes far beyond the passive and receptive attitude of the husband. The emotional void experienced by the wife is illustrated by the husband's rude remark, "Oh, shut up and get something to read!" The couple's tension is summed up here. The woman wants to live her desires rather than sublimate them through literature. She yearns for something vibrant to feel, not books to read. Hemingway, the voice of realism, implies that the real is stronger than the idea. Hemingway plays on the contrast of darkness and light, making the American wife the epitome of love and light. She let the mirror down on the dresser and went over to the window and looked out. It was getting dark. His wife was looking out of the window. It was quite dark now, and still raining in the palm trees. George was not listening. He was reading a book. He was reading his book. His wife looked out of the window where the light had come on in the square. By identifying a parallel between the wife and the light, the author clearly expresses his sympathy for the lady. It is therefore not surprising that the last word is dedicated to her through another woman's voice, the maid. In the doorway stood the maid. She held a big tortoise-shell cat pressed tight against her and swung down against her body. "Excuse me," she said. "The padrone asked me to bring this for the signora." Hemingway probably wrote this story to vent the guilt he felt towards his first wife, Audley Richardson. The spouse's oddness is highlighted from the very beginning of the story. They were only two Americans stopping at the hotel. They did not know any of the people they passed on the stairs on their way to and from their room. Ironically speaking, the American wife finds herself caught in the web of dilemma at the mercy of an estranged husband on a strange land. Although she suffers from marital alienation, she clings to her wedding. Or perhaps one might be tempted to say she holds on to the remnants of her illusions about marriage. The husband's nonchalant position on the bed stands in sharp contrast with the welcoming posture of the hotel keeper. The two men embody different types of mindsets, fixed and growth. The narrator's emphasis on the distance between the hotel keeper and the lady suggests that, beyond the human ties that unite them, she maintains a formal distance from him. This can be explained by the social respectability imposed on her by her marital status, but also by the age of the man who evokes a revered paternal figure. The wife went downstairs and the hotel owner stood up and bowed to her as she passed the office. His desk was at the far end of the office. He was an old man and very tall. Distance punctuates the whole story. Characters stand sometimes close and sometimes far from each other. They all struggle to strike the right balance. We have the impression of being in front of groping rehearsals for a waltz show. Thank you very much for your attention. blessed being,